It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show. We do this show live 7 to 8 o'clock. We're still on Central Standard Time. This is March 5th. This is the B block, which means we start at about 7:20. We do that because of the fact that a lot of people listen to the show into the future. And speaking of that, I have some comments about things we said in the past. Are you ready for a little tete-a-tete on this, John?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I've had calls from two different people now who have essentially said to me, and once again, this is not an endorsement of any of the three candidates or a diss on any of the three candidates. It's supposedly real information. The three candidates for St. Charles County Executive already declared. We have Bill Eigel, we have Mike Elam, and then we have Justin Law, okay? And Jason Law. Okay, Jason Law, excuse me, who is the current mayor of Lake St. Louis and also a captain in the St. Louis County Police Department. And I mentioned the fact that, I guess it was last week or the week before, that Jason, was it? Did I say Justin or is it Jason? Refresh my memory again.
Jason.
Jason. Okay. Jason was essentially booted out of the organization that runs the mayor's charity ball, which is a big deal at St. Charles County. As Shelley called it, it's prom for adults, which I thought was pretty interesting. And it sort of is. Everybody gets all dressed up and stuff like that. But the bottom line is they raise a ton of money. Now, you were... And the interesting part of it was both of these people who talked to me said you were defending the fact that you think they just kicked him out because they didn't like him or something like that they were butthurt or something like that. Wasn't that your comment you made? Do you remember that?
No, not at all. Now, Brad, let's get this straight. On the first time we talked about this, you said you had three people tell you
yes
that you said you had between 2 and 3 people tell you that Jason Law was kicked out of this. And then are you still sticking with 2 to 3 people told you the story, or do you want to say, okay, one guy that doesn't like Jason Law?
Well, no. I've had 2 people, and here, see, they've clarified the position for me. Okay.
Go ahead.
The deal was now
to answer your question, Brad. I didn't say that people were butthurt. I said maybe some guy is mad because he's running against Jason Law and doesn't like Jason Law, so he told you this. And then I'm doubting if this is a real thing or not. Yeah. So to answer your question, you're kind of right. Yeah.
It is a real thing, and
okay.
But here, let me embellish it a little bit more. The deal is, and in defense of Jason Law, okay, he's got a full-time gig. Okay, the mayors of St. Charles County, and I know for a fact that Mayor Borgmeyer in St. Charles and Mayor Pagano in St. Peters and Mayor Guccione in Wentzville and Mayor Hennessy in O'Fallon are all retired gentlemen, okay? And the mayoral positions, I believe, in all 4 of those municipalities I just mentioned are essentially a full-time gig. A part-time gig. That it is not a full-time mayoralship like it is like the city of St. Louis with Tashar or stuff like that. But they do it full-time because, for all intents and purposes, I think all of them would admit they're all retired. They don't really have another job. And
but Jason Law has a full-time job, so he doesn't have as much time to kibitz with all the other old people mayors.
And the reason being is that the other members of this group that puts on the mayor charity ball were not happy that Jason did not do any did very little effort on working on the mayor's charity ball. That's essentially what it comes down to the story. Now, the interesting part of this is, and this is public knowledge that you can find, that already Jason has gotten tons of money from people in St. Louis County. Now, why are people in St. Louis County putting money toward a guy who's running for St. Charles County Executive? Do you have any idea why that is?
Yeah, my guess for that, and Brad, do you want to say the name of the company?
I don't know the name of the company. I just know
it's... That would just take a little bit of Googling on your part. So I would guess, Brad, if you were, let's say, a political donor in St. Louis County and you wanted to get more active and influential in, say, Missouri politics, and you identified a man who has a bright future, who might get elected St. Charles County executive, serve a little while, and then go on to be, I don't know, state senator, secretary of state, lieutenant governor, might be good to get to know him early on. Maybe you give him a little money, say, hey, I know you're running for St. Charles County executive. We're friends. Here's a little help for your campaign. I believe in you.
So you're saying that as opposed to somebody like Mike Elam, and let's be honest, somebody like Steve Ellman. Steve Ellman is retiring. Okay, Steve Ellman has no aspirations of becoming a senator or a representative, at least that I know. Do you know? Have you ever heard anything that he wants to go past being the county executive? I heard he's just going to retire and he's done with politics. Is that pretty much what you heard as well too?
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm not sure exactly what he would do.
Okay, well, but see, I guess this goes to the point where this is bothersome to me, and I guess maybe it's because of the fact that I just can't get this out of my mind that once upon a time there was a guy running for attorney general in the state of Missouri, and he said in one of his campaign ads, "I'm not using this job as a stepping stone to higher positions in the government." And he gets to be the attorney general, and I think 20 minutes after he was sworn in, he declares candidacy for the U.S. Senate. Does that sound like anybody you know, John?
It does. And so what you're saying is people who start one project and donate a little bit of time to it shouldn't just give up on that project and because they have a better opportunity, move on to a different thing.
Well,
you're saying that you should generally be inflexible and say, okay, I did get elected attorney general, and now a position, a once in a lifetime position like U.S. Senate opens up. I'm going to seize the opportunity, and if the voters choose to send me there, I will serve as a U.S. Senator.
Well, it didn't open up because of the fact that there was a senator that was there who ran for re-election. It wasn't like like Claire Bear retired.
Who was a Democrat, right? She was a member of the opposite party.
Right. It wasn't like you said.
Now, remind me, was Hawley appointed, or did he go to Missouri voters and say, yes, I said years ago that I'm not a ladder climber, but I changed my mind and I want to run for Senate? What did Claire beat him? So did people reject Josh Hawley, or did they elect him? I don't remember.
John, I have a lot of respect for Hawley because I think he does a great job when he has these people in the congressional hearings, and he essentially dissects them, eviscerates them, whatever you want to call it. I always think it's funny. Him and Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana are just, and they're absolutely positively two different styles. Would you agree with me that they are absolutely positive?
Absolutely.
Whereas Hawley is he's like this, apex predator, and John Kennedy's like, let me put my boots up here on the table and let me take a drink of my water, and is it really true that you did this and this, and how in the world could you get how would your conscience let you do things like that? Isn't that sort of like the difference between the two?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so how are we getting into this? Okay, but so you're saying that the people that, and the other interesting thing was, I think it was, and once again, this is not somebody that told me this. I saw this on Facebook that they were having a fundraiser for Jason Law out at the Meadowbrook Country Club. Now, John, I think you could swing a dead cat by the tail at the Meadowbrook Country Club, and every place that would hit, it would be a Democrat. I don't think there are too many Republicans that belong to the Meadowbrook Country Club. So why would a group of Democrats have a fundraiser for a Republican who they're in St. Louis County, but they're having a fundraiser for Republican in St. Charles County? Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, I think Mike Elam will probably come at some point to St. Louis County and raise some money. I think that Bill Eigel will come to St. Louis County and raise some money.
Seriously?
And Brad, now, I'm not a country club guy because I've never been thrown out of one like one of us on the call. But where is Meadowbrook Country Club?
Meadowbrook. Well, here's the interesting story behind.
I don't know where it is, and we don't need the historical backstory of all the streets and the landing pads and everything. But where is it? Because I don't know.
It's out in the West County area. Matter of fact, it's not too far from the barn at Lucerne. And the interesting part of it is.
Okay, so you call that a Democrat area?
Well, let me put it to this way, John. This is. I'm going to say something that when I say this, you're going to understand where I'm coming from on this. If you understand, and this comes from my Jewish friends, the reason that Meadowbrook Country Club came to being was the Jewish people were not allowed in the elite St. Louis area country clubs. So they started their own country club. And for a long time, the Meadowbrook Country Club has been predominantly a Jewish country club. And let's be honest, probably 80-90% of the Jewish people vote Democrat. So you start.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You started putting
so the geography out there. You're saying that the people that are members of the Meadowbrook Country Club are probably Democrats,
Yeah.
Now, if you're a member there, for example, the late great Sam Fox was a huge Jewish Republican donor. So maybe a member of the Jewish community who happens to be, and we're just speculating here, Brad. Like, you heard that there was a large contribution. You can't say who it was, but to Jason Law, and you're wondering why outside, quote unquote, outside interests want to elect a guy as St. Charles County executive. Is what you're saying, right?
It comes down to the same thing. Let's go to Proposition 3 or Amendment 3 and Amendment 2. Okay, huge amounts of money outside of the state of Missouri goes into that. Okay, I don't necessarily think that's right because of the fact that I get what you're saying. These people got money. They can do whatever they heck with their money. And if I was rich, I would do crazy stuff like that as well, too. Okay, actually, I wouldn't. I would just buy more radio stations, but that's a whole stupid story.
I know you would.
But I don't, see, when you get these huge organizations that throw their weight around with money, I have a problem with that. I really do. And I think that the thing that bothers me the most about this is that it's to the point where you go like, okay, I see what you're saying. And you know what? And I'd never thought about that. I never thought about Jason Law is, how old do you think he's? What, late 40s, early 50s, something like that?
Yeah, probably about that. Yeah,
okay.
Probably about that age, yeah.
So he's going to get his retirement from St. Louis County Police Department. So, he's going to get a pension. I believe St. Louis County still has pensions and stuff like that. So he's pretty much set for life. So he doesn't have to worry about too much stuff like that. Okay. I never thought about the fact that, he could be, in 2 years, he could be the St. Charles County executive. And then when he's in there, he could run for, like you said, lieutenant governor, and then be the governor, and then be the next president of the United States. That kind of a thing. I never thought of that way. And I appreciate, because you bring an interesting perspective to the dumb perspectives that I have. John.
But Brad, you do not have dumb perspectives, and I'm not going to let you beat up on yourself. You do not. Go ahead, Brad.
Well, but I see, to me, that's like red flag city. That would be like right now. And let's flip the tables on this. Let's say Mike Elam sent a check to Tashara Jones for $500,000 for her campaign to run for mayor in April. You go like, okay, why is Mike doing that? Why is Bill Eigel doing that? Or why is Steve Ellman doing that when they're not real happy with Tashara? And you could say the same thing. Well, they see her that maybe someday she'll be governor of the state of Missouri. Maybe someday she'll be the president. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, or let's say, here's another thing that I would think, and this is, let's just make this up. Let's say, Brad, you were Jason Law's age, and you were running for St. Charles County executive. And let's say I run a major corporation, and I want favorable tax variance in St. Charles County. Now, Brad, you were above reproach, and I'm not suggesting anybody else isn't. But I might think, I want to expand the Combest Agricultural Products Company in St. Charles County, and I'm going to need a lot of help because I'm going to be on some streams and some protected land. You know what, Brad? Here's $400,000. I hope that we can have a good relationship going forward. I love that you fight for liberty, and I'm going to help you in your campaign. Here's my check. No strings attached. Maybe if you're going to run St. Charles County for 8 years and I want to expand my business out there and I want to be a political player, what's $400,000?
I hear what you're saying, and by the way, we've had, and to be totally equal time on this, we've had Bill Eigel on the station before. We've had Mike Elam on the station before. Jason, if you're listening, I'm more than happy to have you on the show. 314-280-8880. And yes, that is my actual phone number. I told you that every once in a while I get a text from a listener who's saying like, is this really your phone number? And I reply, yes, it's my phone number. They don't believe it. So 314-280-8880, because of the fact that I think it's going to be an interesting thing, because I think that you've got three candidates who all have a very different perspective of what they want to do with St. Charles County. And having a guy who, once again, moved out into St. Charles County in 1984, and as my boss, Ron Grubbs, who was not a West County snob, said to me, hey, Brad, I hear you're moving to St. Charles County. Did you get a single wide or a double wide? Which I will never forget.
Yeah, that's what it was back then.
Right. And it's not that anymore, but yet, the people in the St. Louis area still look at St. Charles County as like white shoes and white belts with leisure suits, and you only find that at Glad Rags right there off of Hawks Nest Plaza. That's the only place you'll find that anymore. But I just, politics can be, you follow this very closely. Sometimes I just shake my head and I think to myself, okay, we've got this messed up system. This system is really messed up. And do you really get the right person for the job? Let me dovetail into something at the end of this break right here, okay? At the end of this segment right here. Chuck Todd. Did you hear what Chuck Todd came out and said? Have you heard this?
Oh, no. What did he say?
Oh, my God. It's to the point where, here we go again. It's like Jake Tapper number 2. Let me see if I can pull this up. I'll tell you what. I don't. Let me see if I save this. I heard this yesterday. I thought to myself, this has got to be fake news. This can't be real news. And sure enough, it was real news. Let me see if I can find it real quick. If not, we'll pick it up in B block.
Now, Brad, you would hope that we would have a tete-a-tete. Did I meet your expectations for a tete-a-tete? I hope I played the bad guy well enough in that segment, Brad.
No. You did fine, John. I mean, no. See, look, here, you and I. See, what's interesting about you and I have very different perspectives. You and I have very different backgrounds in our life. You're a corporate guy. I have not worked for a corporation since 1984. I've been self-employed since 1984. So I am like the antithesis of a corporate guy. I'm one of these guys that I don't like corporate speak. And what's interesting is that's what you used to do for a living. We had this conversation was last week where I was saying that guy didn't say that, and you mentioned the fact that you had corporate execs from your old company, Monsanto/Bayer, who complimented you for saying things that they never said, right?
Yeah, I did their interviews for them, and they were like, "Wow, that was great. I didn't know that about our company." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's our company."
Exactly. So that's one of the things that bothers me. But there's a line from one of my favorite movies, Galaxy Quest, where if you see the movie, it's a great movie. Tim Toolman dude, and where they are being attacked by this other guy, this some creature from another galaxy or something like that, and he says that a good captain of his ship knows every bolt, every nut, every rivet, and every part of the ship. And I thought to myself, that's a great quote because of the fact and to me, when he's the idea behind that. There's a good captain of their ship, like a good county executive or a good state senator or whatever, should know everything about their area. I mean, obviously they can't know every single thing, but they should have a broad breadth of knowledge of their area, and that's sort of the thing. Okay, 2 things I did find we'll talk about in B block, and the other thing is I forgot to mention this in this we'll talk about this in C block. B block, let's start off with I have a question for you on something that was in your report yesterday in the johncombest.com thing, because
nice, love it.
I don't understand it, and you have to explain it to me, okay?
I'm ready.
Jason, once again, Mr. Law, Captain Law, 314-280-8880. I have met him before. I did a podcast with him. I was not the one doing the podcast. I was just the one recording the podcast. I'd be more than happy to have you on the show. If you're interested, give me a call and we'll talk. Okay.